Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel for everything football, and welcome to the final FPL Game Week preview of the season. Back with me again, I have Josh from the FPL Graduates. We'll probably do one more show with him and Ben next week, but he's busy this week. But Josh is definitely very capable. He's like the perfect replacement in FPL. Like, can bring him in for like an Aguero. Perfect. And how are you, Josh?
I'm good, man. Not too bad. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm absolutely good. I can't wait for the season 20. It's been a long season, especially being an Arsenal fan. It's been a very long season. I can't wait for it to end. In FPL, it's probably going to be my second best season, but captaincy-wise, it hasn't worked for me this season. So I think it's best we regroup for next season. So as usual, we'll definitely take a look at last game week and then preview the next game week. So I think, Josh, which team do you want to start with?
I think yours is up first. Talk us through it.
Okay, so in goal, I had Mendy. Now, in goal, it was between Mendy and Areola. I actually did think Areola would get hammered by you guys. I thought you'd score maybe 4 against them. Didn't end up that way. He actually got save points in that game, unfortunately. Mendy, 1 point. I should have known, like, I actually did expect Leicester to go for it. Unfortunately, they didn't. They had like 1 shot or something on target, so that was not good for them. It was a gift. So 1 point from Mendy, disappointing. He also picked up a yellow card. Stewart Dallas, one of those players that I should have gotten earlier this season. The last 4 weeks definitely done the job for me, but I think it's a little bit too late. I think next season he will be a midfielder. I think they'll bring him back to midfield. 5 points there from Dallas. He always gets so many chances to shoot the ball, hits the post every time. When he does score, he's on my bench. So unfortunate there. Kofal yesterday, 2 points. He's been very good for me. I think he's one of the first people I'll bring in next season, but this season, this game week, he wasn't really quite up to task, and Big Sam obviously spoiling for everyone. Stones 1 point, Shaw 1 point, not enough. Again, I expected Fulham to keep a clean sheet. I expected Stones to keep a clean sheet since Ederson is chasing the Golden Glove. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. I captained Lingard. I brought in Lingard this week. That was my transfer in for this week, Josh. I just remembered I brought in Lingard, captained him. He got an assist in the 92nd minute, so I was quite lucky with that, and he got 2 bonus points. 7 points there. I'll take that because I think the only person who scored higher than him in my team is Cavani. Mane, 6 points, got an assist. So I was okay with that. Saka, 2 points. Now, I think Saka is one of the disappointing assets I've owned. I've owned him for 12 weeks, and I think he scored 1 goal and 1 assist in the 12 game week. So that's not enough. He looks good on the pitch. He's like a David Silva. He's very good on the pitch, but he won't give you FPL returns. So I think next season I'll regroup in that. Son, 2 points, disappointing. Same with Kane. Tottenham have been really disappointing. And then Cavani, 9 points. What a goal, man. What a goal. I didn't know he's going to have that much impact for you guys. I thought he was going to come a big time, like big part player, like small parts here and there, 2 minutes here, 10 minutes, but he's had a very big impact. So 9 points from him. As you can see on the bench, he had a lot of points. I actually had Stones on the bench and Keane in my team, but I was like, the way Everton played against Sheffield, I'll bring in Stones. I should just have kept Keane. So Stones 1 point, Keane 7 points, Watkins 9 points, got all 3 bonus points against Tottenham. Disappointing as well. So overall, I had 45 points this week. I didn't take any hits. So I think I'll take that for the week. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think you've done pretty well, all considering it wasn't a very high scoring week. Obviously, Mane returning was a better pick than Salah. Lingard captain was sick. I was just going to mention Dallas. Like I've not even owned Dallas this season. That's probably why I've done so bad. Yeah, like it's mental how well he plays. But like you mentioned, I do think he's going to be a midfielder next year. But yeah, I think you've had a good week. And Cavani was someone that I was thinking about bringing in, but I decided to opt for someone else, as we'll see in a minute.
Awesome. So that was my team, 45 points. At least it's not the last game week. Let's see how I do in the last game week. So let's go into your team.
Yeah, we'll move on to my team. I got 44 points. I took a -8, though, because I had Jota and Aguero, who are both injured. I don't think Aguero is really even going to play the last game, I don't think. I'm not even sure.
That was an emotional pick, huh? You brought him in as an emotional pick.
Exactly. I just wanted him for the last 3 games, you know. I thought he'd get a few. Like, he got a goal and an assist in the 2 previous to what I brought him in. He obviously missed a penalty as well. So I was like, hey, he's in decent form. He's playing for City. City are just going to, like we've seen, they've just scored loads of goals and conceded loads of goals, not really caring since they won the league. So, but hey, I took him out, took Jota out, and I took Zaha out, all three. A lot of money there. I brought in Firmino. I brought in Bruno again. I went 1 week without him. And then I brought in Harrison as well. So in total, it paid off with Firmino scoring the goal. It was either him or Cavani, and obviously there was 1 point difference in the end. So I'm pretty happy with that. Areola in goal. He came in because I had Dean Henderson, who didn't play, but he should be playing against Wolves, which will be great. Luke Shaw. I just don't know what's happening. United just seem to concede like every single game now. Obviously, Maguire's not there. They haven't even won a game since Maguire's got injured. So I'd probably steer clear of United, although there's 1 game week left. I wouldn't really hop on them because I don't think anyone really knows the team either. Holgate's just been disappointing because he's been in and out of the team because of injuries. He's almost like the backup, but he's the only one I could afford at the time. So at 1 point is not too bad considering he didn't start. Trent, the 6-pointer, when you're looking at Nat Phillips getting 12 and Andy Robertson getting 15, that's disappointing because Trent just looks so good on the pitch. If you watch Liverpool plays, like literally one of their best players. Fernandes with the jammiest assist in the world. FPL Twitter going absolutely crazy. It was hilarious to see. Salah captain again. I think like even my mate said he's winning my mini league this season. He was like, "You've just been so unlucky this season," and I think that's the story of this week as well. Rafinha 3 points again. Leeds 2 goals. No Rafinha or Harrison involvement after looking so good against Burnley, which is a bit disappointing. But Bamford taking all the points. I think he is one of the most underrated assets this season. Starting at 5.5 million, I don't think anyone expected the numbers that he's produced. Again, Lingard as well. 7 points. Fair play to captain in him, Glenn, because he just came out of nowhere, really. He's been blanking quite a lot recently. So it was a brave move, and there you go, some 7 points there. And then Harry Kane, of course, don't even want to be playing for Spurs anymore. So not sure. I don't even think I'll have him in the last game week. I can't blame him, no. But yeah, it's not a terrible week for me. I think it's been all right.
So the question I had is for Firmino first. So Firmino, you brought him in this week?
Yeah.
Was it because he scored twice against United? Would you have brought him?
Yeah, I think obviously, like when you're making transfers, their form has a massive impact on your decision making, and I think like just knowing that Jota's injured, like he's always going to play. Like that Liverpool front three is set in stone again. So and he looks really good, to be fair. His link up play. He's just looking a lot better than what he was earlier in the season. So for me, it was a good pick. It was going to be either Mane and Cavani, or it was going to be Bruno and Firmino. And I just decided to go with these two because I felt it was more safe, because I can't guarantee if Cavani plays next week or this weekend even, should I say. So, it's one of those ones.
Yeah, so if I had a wildcard like in game week 35, from the players you have and the players I have, I would have gotten rid the likes of Shaw. He won't play this weekend. Fernandes won't play. Cavani won't play. A few Chelsea players maybe won't play. City players, I don't expect any City player to play. I actually expect him to put in like a third team in that game. Even the subs, the likes of Jesus, I expect them to be rested in this game. So that would be very interesting. So obviously it didn't work out for you, the minuses and the negatives and the hits and all that. It didn't work out, right?
And it did, to be fair, because the points that my 3 that I took out got was 2, because obviously only Zaha played. I think in total, out of those guys, I got about 15 with Bruno, Harrison, and Firmino, and then the -8. So I was like a plus 7, which is not bad. It showed, like I've seen someone on Twitter, I think it's FPL Canada or Canadian or something like that. He's took over 120 points worth of hits this season. And he's like in the top 100k, which just shows to show if you play aggressive, it can actually work out eventually.
Yeah, I usually hate the risk unless the player is injured. The one thing I usually fear or I'm afraid of is I take out like a Cavani this week and I bring in a Vardy blanks, and then Cavani scores. Like it hurts. Like that's why I usually even get scared of playing the free hit during the season, unless like 7 players are out and you're convinced that you're out and you're sure that you're out. Then you can play them. So that was the game week 37 review. I think you can take us to the fixtures on screen.
Just give me 2 seconds. There we go.
So this week, all 10 games will be on Sunday. Obviously, the games that people are looking forward to: Liverpool versus Palace, Aston Villa against Chelsea, Leicester against Tottenham, and then the other games that are not really important, like Arsenal, Brighton, Wolves, United, Sheffield, Burnley, maybe both of them trying to end the season on a high note. West Ham, Southampton, West Ham definitely still big for them. They are trying to finish fifth, I think. Leeds, West Brom, I think is going to be a lot of goals for Leeds there. This is one of those games that usually end with many goals. Fulham and Newcastle. 5 weeks ago, this would have been a big game because they were 17th and 18th, but Willock has done the job for them, and they're up to like 14th, 15th, so that game doesn't matter as well. I think this is the first time in a while that the only thing people are looking ahead to like top four. Relegation is done, the title is done, top 10 is done. I think 11th can get to 10th. Aston Villa will literally finish 11th. No team can pass them, and they can't pass any team. So the season is basically done. So from those 10 fixtures, Josh, which one, if you choose two that you're really going to focus on this week?
I think you sort of alluded to it. You just need to focus on the games that like mean something. So the top four race is obviously still on. The Europa League is still on. So for me personally, Liverpool Palace is massive. Liverpool don't really deserve to be in the top four this season. They've played terrible, but somehow they're there, and I do think they're going to get it. So that Liverpool Palace game, if you haven't got a triple up on Liverpool, probably very viable right now because they're looking very good going forward. And then obviously the Leicester Spurs game, because not only do Spurs need to get into Europa League or just maintain their position, but Leicester obviously need to win that game too. So neither team can sit back. So you're looking at obviously more attackers and defenders in that one. But I think it's going to be interesting watching that top four unfold because Chelsea also still need to win against Villa. So you don't know what's really going to happen there because Tuchel's lineups are just different every week. They've got a few injuries right now. I think Mount and Kante picked up injuries in the week. So we have to have a look at that. But I think, yeah, for me, Leicester and Liverpool are two teams that I'll be looking at for my transfers this week.
Yeah, for me, the two fixtures now, obviously the games that matter can end in a 0-0 draw because both teams are taking it seriously. So I think last year, there's a season where Tottenham won 7-1 on the final day. There's a season where they were beaten 5-1 by Newcastle on the final day. There's a time United drew 5-5 with West Brom on the final day, Sir Alex Ferguson's last game. There's so many crazy games. There's a time Stoke beat Liverpool 6-1 on the final day, like good old Stoke. I used to hate going there. Stoke City, like all those teams, like usually on the final day, there are a couple of games that have a lot of goals. So this time, I think the one fixture that is going to be up there is Leeds against West Brom. I don't see Bielsa resting players. I've heard that he's going to rest the likes of Klitsch. I think he's allowed them to go start practicing or getting warmed up for the Euros. He's a very good coach. He cares about his players. By that game, I can see it being free for all. I can see like a 5-2, 5-3. West Brom will go for it. Last game for Sam Allardyce, nothing riding on it. Same for Leeds, they already clinched a top 10 spot. Obviously, they would like to get 8th in there and finish above Arsenal and maybe Tottenham if they can't. So that would be a good thing for them. That is the one fixture. The one fixture I'll definitely avoid. Okay, we'll come back to that. But the second fixture I'll focus on is Leicester against Tottenham. I think this could be another one that will have a lot of goals. Kane might want to score. Obviously, still fighting for the Golden Boot. Don't forget that, Josh. So he's still on 22, so he'd want to end up on a high. There's still Leicester fighting for top 4, and they have to win. The only way they can get into the top 4 is winning and hoping the others draw or lose the game. So I think Leicester will be going for it as well. And Tottenham are really not bothered that much. Do they really want 7th Conference League? We don't think so. For us, myself as an Arsenal fan, I don't want the Conference League. So I think Tottenham are feeling the same way about it as well. So those are the two fixtures. Let's now get into the fixtures to avoid. For me, I'd go for United and Wolves. Very capable of ending in a 0-0 draw. I think you guys will probably play the likes of Mata, Tuanzebe, Telles, such kind of players. And Wolves don't really have anything to riding on it as well. And it's been a terrible season for them, to be fair, Wolves. So very capable of ending in a 0-0 draw. What about you? Which game are you avoiding?
For me, I agree with the United. I think all of these games, you're going to have to wait. I'm going to wait it out for team news because on the last day, especially with these games that have no real meaning to them, you can sort of get early team news and a little bit of insight into who's going to play. So going forward, I think I agree with you with the United Wolves game. I see United maybe. I think Bruno and co play, but I don't think they play a lot of minutes, like maybe 45 at the most. So I'd avoid that one, like you mentioned. I'd avoid City, Everton. Maybe not so much Everton, but City, like you mentioned earlier. I think there's just going to be loads of rotation. I think Pep Guardiola, if he doesn't win the Champions League, I think it would be a massive point for him because he obviously hasn't won it since he's been at Barcelona now. So it's been a while for him. So hopefully they can go and get a win in the Champions League final instead of against Everton.
Yeah, so you have a couple of Liverpool fans in the chat. They're going on to
I've seen
it. Chris says very biased comment. Josh, I know you're Man United, but if Liverpool get the top 4 spot, given Rangers will deserve it. Now, the thing I'll add to that, I'll say to try and support both opinions. If, for example, if West Ham lost yesterday and Arsenal won their final game of the season, we'd finish 6th. I wouldn't say we deserve it because of this and that. I don't think we deserve 6. It would have been a steal if we finished 6. Even 7 would be a steal. I know Liverpool have had injuries. I know Van Dijk being out the whole season. Salah and Mane have not been on top of form this season. But the team that actually does deserve top 4 is West Ham. West Ham definitely deserves top 4 from where they came from. You can't compare it to Liverpool. I think Liverpool with injuries is still better than West Ham. The kind of players West Ham have, the likes of Ogbonna, Dawson, those are not world beaters. I think you guys bringing in the likes of Thiago from the bench, those are still very good players. If you even bring in someone like Wijnaldum from the bench, he's definitely better than the likes of Dawson. So I think West Ham and Leicester would definitely deserve it. But I see what you're saying. If you get it with the injuries, it would be something. But even after you got the injuries, I still expected Liverpool to finish in the top 4. So I wouldn't say I'd actually go like 59% on Josh's side, or maybe 51% and then 49% on your side, as they show Liverpool on TV right now. Burnley was a very easy game for them yesterday, so that's it. So that was game week 37 and the fixtures for game week 38. Next up, let's get into the game week 38 final game week captain picks. Who are you considering this week?
I'm just going to touch on what Chris said because I think it's a good point to talk on. Actually, it's not that I think Liverpool don't deserve it. I probably said it a little bit wrong. I think it's just because I think, like you mentioned, like Leicester and West Ham, they probably deserve it a little bit more because their squads compared to Liverpool, even without Van Dijk, Gomez, whoever's playing centre back, I think their squads are still inferior. You got Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, 2 of the best players in the world. You know, the likes of Trent and Robertson still from the majority of the season. So that's the sort of process I was going towards. Not as if that it's still not a massive achievement, because if they get top 4, a lot of people wouldn't have thought that, say, about 3 months ago. So, but moving on. Funny enough, I'm going to be captaining a Liverpool player most likely this week. I'm going to be the 1 week I haven't captained Trent and I've gone for Salah. He didn't return, so I might return back to Trent. But Firmino is also an interesting option for me. Who are you going for?
Firmino, no. I have or yesterday I had I think 0.5 in the bank, and obviously I have Cavani on my team. So what I was doing yesterday is looking at that guy on screen. I was really considering Firmino. So the 3 guys I would have brought in this week for Cavani, first one was Firmino. I looked at the price, I realized Cavani is like around 7 million. I actually bought him and I didn't actually realize he was so much cheaper than Firmino. Firmino is like more expensive than him, so I couldn't afford Firmino, but he was one of the guys that I brought in this week for Cavani. The second option was Lacazette. Now, he hasn't played the last 2 games. He's definitely going to start the game against Brighton. I think he's not the best pick, but the safest pick to start. I think he'll definitely start over the weekend. So I also considered him to replace Cavani, but he's also quite expensive, more than Cavani. Even the 0.5 in the bank is not enough. And the third player, will I really remember him? I think he was Jamie Vardy, against Tottenham. I know Ben always says he doesn't score these days. Iheanacho is better on better these days, but I really considered him because I think against Tottenham he'll go right. He'll get a penalty somewhere and he'll score. So for me, the ones I'm considering to captain this week, Firmino that I don't have. The ones I don't own, Firmino is one of them. The ones that I own currently, I'd say, obviously, Mane against Crystal Palace, very, very good option. Very, very good option against Palace. I think Palace are done. I think like 12 of their players are leaving this summer, like out of contract. Manager is leaving. Will they really be motivated? Zaha is another one who wants to leave, like you mentioned. Kenan Leon doesn't really get bothered at the end of the season. Picks up silly yellow cards, one of the players that I hate owning in my team. So Mane is a good option. But currently, I don't have like a Trent Alexander-Arnold like you. I don't have the kind of players that are differential. game week 38, you'd love to pick a differential captain and stuff, but I think I'll still keep it on Lingard, Josh. I think I'll still keep it on Lingard against Southampton. Southampton have conceded so many goals this season. I think they're like second or third in terms of conceding goals alongside the likes of West Brom. So they concede a lot of goals, especially away from home this season. There's a time they conceded 6. They conceded 9 as well again this season. So on the final day, I think with Antonio Lingard trying to impress, will he still be there next season? Not sure. So I think Lingard is my option. Any other options for you?
I had it on Rafinha at one stage. Obviously, West Brom. I like that fixture. Whether Bielsa rotates or not, though, is going to be interesting. He's also rotating Meslier. Does he give a rest to these guys, like an extra week off or whatever? I'm not sure, but I think he's a good shout. I think Jack Harrison's a good shout if you want to go really differential and join him. Obviously, Bamford still too, because he's come off a goal and assist against who did they play the other day? Southampton again. Yeah, so. So I think Leeds are also really nice assets to captain this week as well.
I agree, but the only issue is I don't know who's going to play. I know he's going to go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
But he could try and give a couple of players, like someone like Pablo Hernandez is playing his final game for Leeds. He could give him a chance ahead of a Dallas in midfield or ahead of Phillips in midfield. Rodrigo hasn't really started a lot of games and he scored like 4 or 5 goals the last 3 games. He could get a chance ahead of Bamford on the final day. So those are the options for me, either Lingard or Man in my team, the ones who are going for something. Any other players that you currently don't own, you'd have loved to captain? A goalkeeper, differential, another defender, something?
You joke about that, but one of my mates is actually going to captain Fraser Forster this week if he plays. He said that to me because why not? I think I like the look of Chelsea. I'm just too scared because of the lineup that he's going to play. Because obviously they're the Champions League, but equally they still need to get this qualification, probably more so than the trophy. So I'd maybe look at Werner. I think like the last 5 game weeks, he hasn't played once, and every time he's played, he's got some form of returns. I think it's 5 points every time. So maybe an easy pick there. Other than that, I don't think there's anyone that I don't own. Like if Ferran Torres and I knew he was going to play 90 minutes, I'd go for him because he looks great right now. And I think he's going to be something for Euros. Yeah.
Subbed off when Cancelo picked up that red card, so I think he'll definitely start.
You're tempting me now with my transfer this week.
I think he'll definitely start. The only issue could be maybe the players who are surrounding him. Which kind of players will be around him? The likes of Palmer, maybe the likes of Mendy. I don't know. But since he was subbed off when Cancelo picked up the red card, I think he'll definitely start this week. So those would be the options. So those are the game week 38 captain picks. Before we go into the last topic, Shiv says, do you think United could push for the title next season? I'll say yes. I think I absolutely hate them, but I think getting that Cavani signing through the door, they've been actually very good this season. If it wasn't for City, you'd have won the title. Like, thank goodness for City, others would have won the title, because around February I was getting really scared. I was like, oh no, these guys will actually win it. When you're beating teams, but obviously you didn't get some poor home records. So I think that's one thing you need to improve next season. Maybe get a right winger like Sancho, maybe a Kane or something, one of those players, and be on for it. And I don't think the likes of Martial have performed when fit this season. Telles, I thought he was going to come replace Shaw. Shaw has been magnificent this season. Wan-Bissaka has been okay. Early on in the season, Maguire and Lindelof made too many mistakes against the likes of Tottenham and such kind of teams. Brighton away, remember they made a lot of mistakes. So to answer that question, yes, but hopefully for Josh's sake, no. I'm hoping not at all. So let's get into the gem of the week, Josh. Gem of the week. Any differential for the week?
I mean, you could probably pick quite a few. It all comes down to team selection. It's going to be difficult to sort of sift out right now. I think it's going to be a sort of case like maybe wait until the deadline until you know for like what concrete players are going to be playing. To be honest, again, I'll just aim for the teams that are actually going to be playing. So I think Firmino, as we've mentioned, he's a massive differential still.
I think he's 5%.
I think so. Yeah, I think he is.
Wow.
Effective ownership anyway for me is for certain. He's under 5%. Yeah, I think he's a great shout. Robertson definitely is probably quite low owned as well because everyone's been hopping on Trent instead. So those two, they've proven it last week. Robertson 2 assists, Firmino grabbed a goal and a couple bonus points. So for them, they would be my gems of the week. So everyone knows about them, but still they're very low owned.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Alex Telles. Speaking of Alex Telles for you guys, I think he'll definitely start, and I think it will be a free game. Just bomb forward whenever you want. I think he takes corners and free kicks as well.
Yeah,
Telles,
if
so
Cavani
I think
plays, it'll be goals galore because his crossing's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely not play. I think you're playing on Wednesday, a very, very big game that you were supposed to be playing against Arsenal, but we ruined it. So I think Cavani will definitely be rested in this one. Martial is back. Martial and Telles against Wolves. I think they'll both start. So I think they'll both get a couple of. I think he'll still score, maybe 1 or 2, and I think one of them will get at least 8 points in this game week. So I'm going to go for Telles and Anthony Martial. For Arsenal, I'm not sure who's going to start. For Chelsea, as you said, I'm not sure who's going to start. Maybe pick out the likes of Pablo Hernandez at Leeds, people who are going to play their final games. Maybe Aguero if he starts. I know if they get a penalty or something, they'll be trying to look for him to get his final goal. He's 1 goal away from Rooney's record of scoring the most goals for one team. So I'm sure he'd want to get that. Ferran Torres is another one. So a lot of options this week. So what transfers have you made this week?
Haven't made any just yet. I'm going to wait until the deadline because I think you will see quite a bit of team news getting leaked early. So that'll make my decision a lot easier. Depending on who I bring in, I could captain him. Like if I know Ferran Torres is going to be starting before that City game, I'd be very, very strong to put the captaincy armband on him. I think he looks incredible. Like considering he doesn't really play for Man City, like he could walk into probably 18, 17 of those Prem teams. Like it's ridiculous.
He's a third team player at City. Can you imagine? If he comes to Arsenal, he's straight into the team, straight into
his best player.
So, so you're considering Torres. Any other crazy picks? Maybe a goalkeeper or a defender? Or you're just trying to play it safe and finish high as possible.
I was making the transfer. I think maybe like Dallas. Maybe own him for the last week. Nothing crazy though this week. I don't think. I was looking at Werner, but it would cost too much to sort of transfer out and stuff like that. So probably just going to leave it as it is. I actually think Cavani might play part of that game against Wolves because I think he's still. Solskjaer doesn't really like to rotate too much. Only against that Leicester when we had the 2 days breaks on either side. So maybe we see some of the first teamers, but it's stupidly hard to predict. I'll just wait for the team news.
Okay, last 2 questions. The first one is Liverpool, Leicester, Chelsea. Which one will miss out on the top 4?
It's tough, isn't it? Because like realistically. Like you say Leicester because they have the hardest fixture, but Spurs don't look too great right now. It's just absolutely discombobulated over there. I think Liverpool are definitely getting it. They just seem motivated. That West Brom game, just for me, as soon as I saw what happened there, I was like, they're getting top 4 because stuff like that just doesn't happen if for no reason. Do you know what I mean? And they also have an easy game. Crystal Palace, no Eze. He's out for quite a while now, which is really, really quite sad, to be fair. He's had a really good season, really good end to it. I'd hope that Chelsea drop out and that Liverpool and Leicester go in, but I think it will take a lot for that. So I think it will be Chelsea and Liverpool, realistically.
But do you expect Leicester to still beat Tottenham as then all the?
Yeah, I think they'll all win, but like they'll just miss out by like a point. Is it? I think.
Yeah, I know Liverpool will definitely win their game against Palace, maybe by 3 goals or something. Chelsea, Leicester, I think they'll draw with Tottenham, unfortunately. I think even if Chelsea draw with Aston Villa, it won't matter because Leicester will also draw. So I can see Liverpool winning and the other teams drawing. I think that will take Liverpool to 3rd and then Chelsea 4th. So, Shiv asks Bruno to Mane, Jota to Rafinha, Watkins to Bamford. That's a -4. I'm 40 ahead in my mini league, 800k, nothing to play for. Do I do it?
Why not?
Bruno won't play. Jota won't play. Watkins will play. So what would you do?
I'd personally do it. I think those picks that he's chosen are decent. They're not even really that differential, to be honest. I think Mane's quite well. He's a little bit differential because obviously everyone's gone Salah, but I think he's probably the better pick right now. Even though Salah's chasing Golden Boot, he just didn't seem at it against Burnley. He went like through on goal about 3 times and he just didn't have that cutting edge. I think it's just tiredness maybe. He's almost played every single game for them this season. Rafinha just looks lively, back from injuries. he's just a class player, to be honest. And Bamford obviously coming back on form. Watkins against Chelsea. Chelsea don't really concede a lot of goals unless it's West Brom. So yeah, I think they're good moves.
Unless it's West Brom. It's funny when you say that, when West Brom is the team that have actually been captaining players when playing against them. So yeah, he also says goal difference. I know it's goal difference, but I think you guys will score 3, and Leicester cannot beat Tottenham by more than 3. So obviously the last famous question, 3 players to score. I will go fast this week. I'm going to go for Fabio Silva to score against you guys at Wolves. I'm going to go for Lacazette to score against Brighton. And I'm going to go for final one, Chris Wood to score against Sheffield.
Yeah, I like those picks. For me, I'm going to go. It's tough, isn't it? Because you don't really know who's playing. I'm going to say Salah and Mane will score in that game. They beat Crystal Palace 7-0, didn't they, at Selhurst Park? So surely there's got to be goals in that game. I know they struggle at Anfield at the minute, but there's going to be fans there, so that should spur them on. So those 2 to score, and then I'll go for, who should I go for? I want to go just outside the box. Let's go Trossard against Arsenal. Why not?
Shame on you, but yeah, I can see it happening. I don't think we'll take it too seriously this time. I don't know where they'll start, so let's see how it does. So, man, thank you for all the help this season. I don't know how many shows have we done this season, like 40 or something.
Definitely.
This like Josh and Ben have been on my channel since game week 1. Like we've been working since game week 1. So the 9 months have been incredible. Obviously, we'll try and do 1 more next week, maybe 2 more on your channel as well. So
yeah,
let's see how it goes. Thank you for coming in. Make sure you follow him on FPL Graduates on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter, and everything. I think they've hit 1K on Twitter recently, on Instagram recently. TikTok, how many these days?
We just hit 21,000 today. It's been popping off a bit today, so loving life over there. I think we're like 5 off on 700 on YouTube. So if you haven't already, go subscribe over there. We'd appreciate it massively.
Thank you, man, for coming on. So we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching. Keep staying safe, and I'll catch up with you guys later.